This is Soulful Living on Empower Radio. Here's your host, Teri Williams.
Hey, wherever you are in the world today, I welcome you to another 30 minutes of Soulful Living here at empowerradio.com. Like a lot of you, I have had my share of ups and downs in life. Some of them I may never talk about, and others I openly talk about. My guest today was literally hit over the head with a life-changing, monumentous experience in her life. And after many bumps on the road, she chose to let her story inspire others. Through her book, When All Balls Drop, The Upside of Losing Everything, Heidi Siefkas is here today to share her inspiring memoir and her story in the hopes that it will elevate your soul and empower your life. And with that, I welcome you to Soulful Living, Heidi.
Thank you so much, Teri. It's a pleasure to speak with you and share my story with your audience.
And you literally were hit over the head with something that shifted your, not just your entire being, but your entire life.
Yes. Some people have a wake-up call or a calling, and that was that fall day in 2009. I was in New York's Hudson River Valley. It was a seemingly normal fall day, and a 1,000-pound tree limb struck me down. I didn't see a thing, hear a thing, or feel a thing. That's because it knocked me unconscious for days and broke my neck. I awoke 5 days later, and that is where my husband and my mother put the pieces of the puzzle together as to what had transpired that fall day. And from that accident, there was a ripple effect. So I say that that day was the day when all balls dropped. And it was life-altering and sparked the life change that I had and the career path and personal path that I'm on currently.
I can't imagine what it must have been like to, wake up. Of course, I read the first chapter of your book, and to wake up and look around and realize that you were in this place, but not really being able to respond how you normally would have. And to also realize that you lost 5 days of your life and not sure how your life was what your life was going to look like from that point forward.
It was the most scary moment in my life. I was confused, afraid, in pain, comforted that I was not alone in the hospital, but there were so many uncertainties as far as what the future would hold, whether I would fully recover, if I would live with pain, if I would be mobile again. So during that time, and still to this day, I am grateful for every moment that I have on this earth and put my number one priority on my health and my family's health.
Well, and at the time, you were vice president of marketing for a traveling firm. You were kind of like an international jet setter, right? You were, traveling all over the country. You were in what you thought was a wonderful marriage, and all of a sudden, the balls dropped, and over time, you began to lose everything that you had, and really look at life so differently.
I seemingly had it all, the full package. A happy marriage, a home in South Florida, a successful career, and yes, I was globetrotting. There were times that I would take a red eye from LA, from the Playboy Mansion and an event, to Orlando's Convention Center, then to Paris, Berlin, and Mexico City. It was an insane but very rewarding career. And that fall, all of those elements almost simultaneously started disappearing. It was a trifecta of loss. My health was in peril. I discovered the day before the tree struck me that my husband had been living a double life. And then as the third and final whammy, because of a lengthy recovery, my employer forced me to resign. They had to continue on with their marketing and PR goals, leaving me to recover. And from losing all of those three very important pillars of my life, I had to move on. I found that there was an opportunity that I was given that fall, and that there is an upside to losing everything.
Well, and I have to ask, Heidi, did you remember that you had found that information out about your husband?
I knew from the time that I woke up that there was this other trauma that I was dealing with. Yes, I had a broken neck, but also at the same time I had a broken heart. Mm-hmm. I did not admit to my family, my friends, my supportive clan, any of what was going on behind the scenes, because I hadn't come to terms with that truth. I had not yet had a conversation with my husband about it, and I wanted to hear the why from him before I divulged to the world that I too had been betrayed. And I didn't think it was going to help my situation, because when you're in a hospital room, you want everyone in your court. It wouldn't have helped the immediate outcome if I had my family distrusting my husband. And at that point in time, I needed everyone to help, whether it was driving me to doctor's appointments, helping me prepare foods, helping with pharmacy runs, and just general love. I didn't need the added subplot of a year-long adulterous relationship and lies and deceit.
Mm-hmm. At some point, did you feel like both your body and your husband were betraying you? You know, because you were hit over the head and somewhat incapacitated in your life, and you had to really struggle to regain your physical presence.
I felt at points that the world was against me, and would ask, what's next? Why is this happening? The accident itself was enough. So would have been the news about my husband. And at the time, my professional identity was something that was crucial to my happiness. And any one of those alone would have been detrimental. And I was basically acting like a triage doctor, but on my own life. I had to prioritize which of those hurdles I was going to deal with and tackle. And in the ICU and after through recovery, I said, I need to only concentrate on the health right now, and I will put the other issues on the back burner, and I will, once physically feeling more healthy, I will be able to better deal with or adapt and change to push forward.
I loved in your book how you had at one point said you were like Jason Bourne. In your book, each chapter is maybe a few pages long, but at some point you said you felt like Jason Bourne, that this was a whole new identity, and all you could pay attention to was what was right in front of you, because you had this literal cage on your head for a period of time. Give me a little bit about how that really felt to you.
Well, I was introduced to this special companion of mine in the hospital. It's a Miami JTO brace, which sounds like it's something sexy that you drive on South Beach, but it's so the contrary. It's the typical neck brace that many people have seen for people that have suffered whiplash, but then it has a complete, almost turtle shell for your torso and back. So I eventually nicknamed this my cage. It was going to be my companion, my guardian, and a successful route to full recovery by making everything immobile so that my seventh vertebra would naturally fuse. And so in that confining situation, as well as saying to myself, I can only concentrate on so much. I can't rebuild my life right now and put all three of those pillars in place. I only have to concentrate on my health right now. What that allowed was for me to be very mindful and in the moment. And so when I write about feeling like Jason Bourne, my observation skills were so honed. It was as if I was living life in a high-definition movie in surround sound. The fall colors that year were just so brilliant. Even the sounds of walking over those crushed leaves were so heightened. So I looked at the world with a different perspective by prioritizing and also kind of taking out some of the clutter that I would have on a normal day. I was no longer balancing social calendars, going to the gym, showing up at the office, preparing dinner. All of those things had been forced to a pause. And what I found was that I saw things, I heard things much more clearly.
And do you feel like you're still living that mindful presence today?
It is with me every step of the way. It doesn't mean that I, too, don't get caught up in perhaps taking off more than I can chew or multitasking. But through my experience, I learned a lesson that I didn't want to forget. And I created a way so that I wouldn't, and a way that I could share it with others. And it started out that I wanted to create a holiday. And I thought, celebrating yearly like a birthday just wasn't nearly enough, because that would give me 11 months out of the year to repeat the same mistakes that we all do, and that I certainly knew that I would slip down that slope to revert back to old habits of doing too many things at once and not paying attention to the moment. So I asked my friends, family, professional peers, how could I name perhaps a monthly holiday? So that day of the month, the 27th, every month I would celebrate living in the moment and positively spinning each situation or each hurdle that you are presented. And a professional peer who I still to this day have not personally met, but we've spoken on the phone, and his name is Chris, and he lives in Ohio, and he says, Heidi, your holiday should be called Look Up Day. And it just hit me as the perfect spot-on name, because it has a double entendre of to look up. So be aware of your surroundings. That day, perhaps if I would have been aware of the tree limb, I could have moved out of the way. But it really means to appreciate the beauty of the moment that you're in, as well as the hazards. And in essence, be in the moment, be more mindful. in conjunction with that second part, which is positively spinning each situation that you're presented with. It may appear so negative that you can't find the positive, but there's no experience that is wasted in this life. I think all of life's hiccups are ways to wisdom.
Yeah, and that is so true. For years I have been, saying, just look up. And I love looking up at the sky. I love looking up to see what can present itself, in nature and in the sky. And at the same token, I'm have experienced many different challenges in my own life and look at that as an opportunity to look up, to connect with the positive in life. Obviously, not to say that every single day of my life I'm the bliss lady, right? I've said before, I'm also the piss lady. I'm human, as I'm sure you are, right?
Oh, I have full-blown adult tirades, yes. Just like a temper tantrum of a toddler, I have them too. But that's to release, what I'm experiencing in the moment, and then I reframe it.
Absolutely. We're in the process of moving, my husband and I are, and I had said to somebody yesterday, yeah, I feel like it's miraculous. I've only had 2 tantrums during this whole last 6 weeks. And my friend looked at me and she said, I can't even imagine you having a tantrum. And I said, I'll videotape it next time. I'm human, sister.
We all are.
We are human, but I so admire your ability to connect with that, both sides of the coin, your humanness, your ability to have those tantrums and, revert to being a childish moment, but also paying close attention to what's in front of you and being able to move forward and share your story in an effort to inspire others. Listeners, again, I'm chatting with Heidi Siefkas. Want to make sure I get that right. You can find all of her information on the Soulful Living page here at empowerradio.com. My awesome producer, Matt, will make sure everything is there for you. And I encourage you really to grab her book, look at her story, and also all of the other things that she has out there to help empower your life. And Heidi, one of the things that I really thought was cool about what you're doing now is not just focusing on your story, but still reinventing and revisiting what you loved before, the traveling, and you have other opportunities out there and ways for people to connect with you. How are you incorporating that into where you are now?
I have, through my life change, made a conscious decision to keep 2 passions in my life, and those 2 were writing and traveling. And so I typically introduce myself as an author and an adventurer. The author part most people get, they say, okay, so you've written a book and you're writing another book. The adventure compartment of my life is that I love to travel. It provides many great stories, great perspective, constant learning, and I actually facilitate tours around the globe. In a few weeks, I will be going to Cuba for now my 9th or 10th tour to Cuba, and also making it to Hawaii later this year, New Zealand, Australia, and Tuscany. So I had left a little bit of that adventurous life behind when you read the beginning of When All Balls Drop. But through that life change, I said, never again. Adventure is a component of my life as well as writing from here on going forward.
And when you are out traveling, I'm sure you have the opportunity to share your story when you're, taking people on these destinations and tours. I'm sure you have the opportunity to share your story and inspire others.
Travel is such an immediate bond. When you're traveling together, it's it's, I would say, comparable to working in a very high stress environment, whether that would be in war or in competitive sports. You're going through a strange environment 24 hours a day through the bliss as well as some of the pitfalls, whether you have traveler's diarrhea or that schedules or weather puts a little hurdle in your day. And you see the good, bad, ugly of everyone, and you are very close, I would say, in a very short amount of time. And I've met wonderful individuals on these tours that have since become my friends, readers of my book. And I look forward to traveling with them once again and sharing the sequel, which should be coming out this September.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, and I have to share a funny note here. My producer just texted in traveler's diarrhea. What do you do about all of that? Because those are the realities that happen in life. And gosh, you really have to get human, be human with these people.
We've all been there, and I think everybody enjoys a good poop story.
Yeah, they sure do, don't they?
But things come into the moment very quickly when you have traveler's diarrhea. So I always come prepared, Imodium, toilet paper, and knowledge of where the closest bathroom is. So those Jason Bourne skills, I guess, come into play. And
you rise to the occasion. So as I was researching you, I peeked in on your Facebook fan page, and I noticed that you spoke this week with a group of ladies down in your area, and your topic was the power of perspective, fostering life change, something that you're going to work on yourself. How do you incorporate that into your life for this year?
I get a needed dose of perspective through various different ways. And I guess I call them adventure. And whether it be a mental, emotional, or physical adventure, I like traveling to new places to gain perspective. I like trying something that is completely new, whether that be learning how to stand up paddleboard or something that I have no knowledge of, such as writing a screenplay and taking my book to film. I find that by conquering fears and doing something different, getting out of my comfort zone is a way to gain perspective. For people that don't necessarily say, I don't have time for this right now. I only have a few moments. You can still do it. It's just a conscious choice to do it. I have been known to find clarity on a spin bike when I'm doing a physical activity that is just requiring all of my attention and energy. I find clarity. I also find it by using some of the free apps that you can get on your phone for just a 10-minute morning or evening meditation.
Mm-hmm. I find my clarity in the shower. Really, it's amazing how all of a sudden a light bulb will come on, or an answer to something that I've been seeking will come to me right then and there in that moment. And I guess, kind of being aware of opportunities and what comes at you in those moments, to really be able to pay attention and bring that mindfulness in. Heidi, we're down to the wire. I have,
okay.
We have 2 minutes left. Doesn't it go by fast?
I feel like it was just a moment ago that we were introduced. So,
well, one of the things that I love for my guests to do is leave the listeners with something that they can take out into the day to find empowerment, or elevate their soul to a new level. What would that be for you? What would you say is something that listeners can do right now to help them shift where they are and step into that empowering moment? Maybe their balls are dropping.
I would say look up. Whether that's at the stoplight, whether that's when you're rebooting your computer, brewing coffee in the morning, or in the shower, to take that moment to appreciate just what is happening that moment, whether it's beauty, whether it's hazards, whether it's the hot water hitting you in the shower, and then also be grateful for where you are and what you have in that moment. If you are in that place that balls are dropping, it's sometimes hard to spin that positively. Take a moment to, I guess, mourn or vent, whatever that may be, and then see it as an opportunity.
Awesome. Well, Heidi, thank you. Thank you so much for being here. I'm so glad that you were inspired to really take your story and run with it. Thank you so much. And Matt, thank you. I really appreciate you all. Until next time.